Hello, Canada! Hello, everybody! Welcome to Three Person Circle, where we turn a circle with three people. It's me, Dax, with my co-host, Derek. We're here for a really special episode. We're celebrating what?
Oh, Canada.
We're celebrating Canada's 157th birthday.
Hey, Dax, do you mind if I just open my Caesar, a Canadian special?
No, you are more than welcome to do so.
Yes, I don't know if you are aware of this, but in America, they only have the Bloody Mary, which is a far less superior drink.
Why? What's it missing?
The difference is we use clamato juice, so a clam tomato juice, as opposed to their tomato juice.
Yeah, it's weird. They don't have seafood in their clamato. But today, we're here to talk about how awesome this country is. All we want to do is just celebrate the cool things, the great things, the weird things, the funky things, and the things we love about this great country of Canada.
Amen to that. This is a Friday, but we will be putting this out on Canada Day, so happy Canada Day to everyone. The one thing we both tried to do here is we're trying to get away from your classic Canada Day stuff of like the maple leaf and the maple syrup. We love all that stuff, of course, but I hope you hear some fun, interesting things about Canada that I think you might have not maybe known or heard about before.
All right, well, I'm going to kick it off.
All right.
I'm going to start with a really, really obvious thing here. One of the things I love about Canada is the fact that me and you can sit here right now from the comfort of our home and actually talk about Canada without really any censorship.
Yes.
We're able to do a podcast. We're able to talk about what we love about the country. And there's not really a guideline of like what we have or what we can and cannot say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those, I guess, those privileges or gifts that you don't really think about, but a lot of people that come here from foreign lands, it's why they come here is because they're seeking that. So it's amazing. On that note, before we begin, I would actually like to send a shout out to my friend Ali Dashti. He is a RMT I work with. He's from Iran. He's immigrated here a while ago, but he just became a Canadian citizen about a month ago. So congratulations. And yeah. Check out Ali. He's a great dude, super funny, really good RMT. He's just started, and he's got the world at his fingertips in the RMT game. So yeah, shout out to Ali.
Happy Canada Day to you, Ali. So this will be his first one?
Yeah, it's actually funny. He's in LA right now, which is, you might be like, well, why would you leave for your first Canada Day as a Canadian citizen? But it's because he actually can leave and go to America and come back.
Oh yeah, because you have to be in Canada for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for Ali, man.
Ali, I hope you're living it up in LA.
What's he doing there? Disneyland?
He's got. I don't know what he's doing. I don't think Disneyland. He has family or friends down there, and they're just gonna take him around. I'd assume the beaches and the food and all the things that come with it.
Because you know what they say about Canada and LA, right?
What?
There's nothing more Canadian than Disneyland. No, nobody says that. Okay, Derek, let's just go back and forth. That's what I like about Canada. Let's take it off.
Okay. I'm just going to talk about something that's super cool. There's this dam. It's called Camano Dam, and I doubt anyone's heard of this. The reason I know about this is because I used to live in Kitimat up north. And if you're going, where's Kitimat? Take an 8-hour drive north to Prince George. And once you're there, continue another 8 hours northwest to the coast, and you will find Kitimat on the coast, a tiny little town. And then from there, if you take a helicopter, you will get to Camano Dam. Now, what's so interesting about Camano Dam? At the time, it was built in 1954. Okay, at the time, it was the largest rock-filled dam in the world. To give you anyone that's not really having an idea of what that is, they use rocks and sediment to build the dam as opposed to just like the more stereotypical dam you'd expect now with a lot of concrete. Okay. So what they did to get this power is they bored a huge 450-meter hole, and it's all dome shaped, so it's like a huge circumference. It's the inside of a mountain's been hollowed out. inside the base of Mount Dubose, and that's where this powerhouse is stored. Okay, and then where is it here? So then what you have is 16 kilometers away, the Nechako Reservoir from this mountain. They have put this whole power system in, okay, and they built a 16-kilometer borehole through a mountain range, and it comes out at this penstock, which is a 790-meter drop from this borehole. So picture all this. This is a reservoir on the other side of a mountain range, and they've made this kilometer-long, or a 16-kilometer-long hole that drops off basically a kilometer down into a thing that is a turbines that turn and get the power station all the power. So 80% of that power goes towards Kitimat, where there's Alcan aluminum smelter. And I'm sure if anyone goes right now and looks in their drawer, you will have Alcan aluminum. All the aluminum foil. Yeah, we have some right here. All the aluminum foil, like, and it's worldwide too. And then the extra 20% of that power is sold off to BC Hydro to be used for electricity for the province.
Have you been there?
I didn't get a chance to go there because you don't just get to go to Camano. You have to be like shipped in there. It used to be a living town until the Grizzly Bears took over.
What? Okay, wait. There's a story there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is. I guess I brushed over that a little. So, okay, there's Grizzlies. Like, this is way the hell up north, right? So, like Kitimat, where I was, this is like a town, and it had Grizzly Bears would like constantly be walking through town, and you'd see on like Facebook chat, like, heads up, Nechako has a grizzly bear at it, don't go down there, right? So what Camano is, it's like an extension of that, but it was its own living town. It had like a grocery store, and it was like, but it was all only helicopter or boat access. And then it basically just became too much of a nuisance because there's too much wildlife and grizzlies up there for them to be like a functioning, running town. And the power plant didn't need what it needed, because before, you'd imagine back then, it's like you'd have to fly in, it'd be so remote, you'd live there. Mm-hmm. Whereas now you can actually, like, with the way technology in the world's gone, you can be flown in, live there and be your thing, but it doesn't have to be its own town.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to, the main thing with that whole story is it's just an impressive feat of engineering to think about that it happened, and it happened in the 50s, and it's still to this day, you'd like, think of it, 16-kilometer borehole into a giant mountain that has been hollowed out to keep electricity. Very cool.
That is a super cool story. I did not see that going that way. So it's still an active dam?
It's still all active, and the electricity is still used to power Alcan / give to BC Hydro. It's really, honestly, BC alone, there's so much crazy history about BC that we could do a whole thing on. Just like when you get north of here, I'm sure anyone that's traveled around and looked, there's so much cool, like, you're like, holy crap, they did that? When?
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, that's, I don't know if any of my stories are going to be that cool. I'm going to talk about something that's pretty universal. If we were going to tell you like a snack after school, if I was to make a sandwich when you were 7 or 8, or even now, what are like the easiest sandwiches to make?
Ham and cheese, peanut butter and jelly.
Okay.
What's it called? Bacon sandwich, bacon tomato, grilled cheese.
Well, the fact that it took just 2 guesses for peanut butter and jelly to pop up goes to show how important this ingredient is. Peanut butter. Did you know that peanut butter was invented by a Canadian? A guy named Marcellus Gilmore Edison was a Canadian chemist and a pharmacist, and in 1884 he was the first person to patent a way to make peanut paste, which was the earliest form of peanut butter. It was so popular that he got a patent award from the United States for that invention. So essentially, without this Canadian who was born in Quebec, we wouldn't have our favorite snack, one of our favorite snacks, peanut butter and jelly.
That's so great. Peanut butter is like some people's lifeline. And you said he was an Edison?
Edison. His name is Marcellus Gilmore Edison. Edson.
Oh, because I was
no relation.
I was going to say, who was more important, the guy that made the light bulb or the peanut butter guy? And I think we all know who the answer is.
Peanut butter guy.
Very interesting. Okay, let's go Canada. At it again. Okay, here's a fun one for y'all. Canada's coastline is 200,000 plus kilometers of coastline. Plus, I want to say it was closer to around 2,400,000 or 240,000 kilometers, but it's just easier to say plus 200,000. It's 57% of the world's coastline.
Is that including the Pacific and Atlantic coasts?
It touches 3 oceans.
Yeah, up.
The Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Arctic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my personal belief on the reason we have so much northern coastline is because I don't think anyone in the world cared because it was so frozen. Okay? So I think that there is going to be a weird world where now we have all this huge coastline that no one cared about that's going to start becoming actual, like, land, and people are going to, like, I don't know, I'm just interested to see what happens with our northern coastlines. It's not much talked about. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, to add to that, I think the reason why we have so much of that land, I'm pretty sure because of like how big Canada was, especially when we first inhabited this area. And again, obviously natives were here first, indigenous people were here first, but when settlers first started traversing Canada and up north, it's super treacherous to navigate or circumnavigate around our part of the world. So I'm sure this is why we ended up with like this massive block of land, right?
I totally agree.
I'm going to stick to my food categories for something else that Canada brought, because personally speaking, this is a food that whenever I eat this type of food, I pretty much order every single time, or some variation of this every single time I order. The California roll.
Oh, what?
Is an invention that was made in Canada. Do you know where it was made?
California? I have no clue.
From our very own city, Vancouver, Canada.
No.
Where you can actually still go to this guy's restaurant today. Essentially, he made the California roll, and the reason why it's called the California roll is because all of the Los Angeles tourists were the ones that always gave him the biggest compliments for it. So he named it after the California, which is where those tourists are from. But the chef's inventor is named Chef Toho, or Tojo, Tojo.
Okay.
He still lives here. He still works here. His restaurant is still here. Sarah's sister-in-law took her brother there for an omakase, which is basically you go there and he makes whatever sushi he feels for you. It's his menu. But the fact that this roll that you can basically order anywhere in the world was made in our backyard, it's pretty cool. It's Canadian.
Because with the whole, like, the way the world's, like, I guess globalized, you just assume, like, it makes sense that there's a California roll. You're like, hey, clearly it's someone's come from Japan and it's like this, like, westernized, like, what would you call it? I don't know what you call it. It's like fusion, like.
Yeah, I don't know, cause
whatever it is, though, right? But you would just assume it's an American thing, just solely based on the name, let alone our own hometown.
Yeah, well, if you think, like, really any food that comes over from any other country, you pretty much get the westernized version of that food. Because, I mean, I've never been to Japan, but I assume what we see in Japan, traditionally speaking, are those hand rolls, nigiri, where it's like the rice and the fish on top.
That's my favorite,
right?
Or one of my favorites.
Yeah, or maki, which is like seaweed around it, right? Apparently, according to this guy, he says, again, there's conflicting reports, but he says that he is the innovator of inside out sushi.
Oh,
so
what?
Where the seaweed's on the inside and the rice is on the outside. So that's where he started the California roll.
That's so crazy. Sushi is you could do a whole freaking 2 hours just talking about the craziness of sushi, and it's such a food's always interesting, but sushi is like extremely interesting.
Yeah, but that's my second food.
Okay, here's one that's gonna kind of keep going along the whole 1 second here. Okay, yeah, so going along with the same thing here, I'm gonna list off a few things because they're all kind of similar. So Canada crosses over 6 time zones. Okay, just think of that. That's an impressive amount of time zones to have crossed over.
Where are they? Do you know where the breaks are or where the crossings are?
I don't personally know. And the best part is I actually thought about that. And like, for example, like the coastlines, I made sure I kind of knew the 3 coastlines, but I like made sure I knew them. And then when I was thinking the 6 time zones, it's like, I'm not interested enough to actually.
We know BC to Alberta.
Yeah. And then there's Greenwich Mean Time, or I don't know. Leave in the comments what you believe the time zones to be. I think
What you believe?
yeah, I think
Mythical time zone.
I think this is open for debate. Is there 6 time zones in Canada? And if you believe there's 6, prove it by listing them. Only then will. Okay, so here we go. Keeping in the same thing of Canada being large. We have the largest moose population in the entire planet, on the entire planet. And do you want to take a guess at how many mooses it is?
Total?
Total. Because we know. That's how crazy it is.
Okay.
For some reason, we know this stat.
Let me go. 167,489.
That's actually a pretty close guess. It's over 1 million. And the whole time I'm reading through, like, I went through so much stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole time I couldn't get over the fact that they guaranteed there. It just says 1 million plus, and they're like, we just know there's for sure over 1 million. And I think it's crazy that we have resources going towards counting that.
Okay. Do you think they counted that based on, okay, we're going to send this person to the most heavily populated moose areas and count an estimate based on sample and then project outwards? Or did they pay someone money to go across Canada and be like, all right, dude, this is your job from now on. You're going to count the moose.
I think there's the obvious answer, but I like to think there's a guy that just he's like Indiana Jones, but he just counts moose.
There's a movie. His movie hasn't been made yet.
Yeah, because like reality is always like not as crazy as fiction. So instead of Indiana Jones finding the lost temple, he's just a moose counter in Canada. Okay, so this is kind of melding of Canada being very large landmass and what you discussed about food in Canada. I had a thought. So you know how in India there's India and northern India, like it's all within India, but they kind of break themselves up regionally like that. I think there's obviously more regions in that, but from what I understand, when it comes to food at least, it's kind of like India, and then northern India claims they cook differently.
Like the type of food. It's pretty much everywhere if you think about it.
Well, okay, so Canada is so big. Like you could argue Canada is Europe. And it's like it's bigger than Europe. So think of if all of a sudden you had the landmass of Canada, but instead of it being like the 7, 8 provinces, 9, what is it, 14? How many provinces and territories are there? We should define this right now on air.
Hold up. Do you not know this?
No, I know.
I'm pretty sure.
I think there's 14.
Your friend Ali, I'm pretty sure, as part of his citizenship, has to know.
Has to know this. There's BC, Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan.
I know the answer. I just want to see if you can get it.
Saskatchewan. Quebec, Ontario, Quebec, Newfoundland, Labrador, PEI, Nova Scotia, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and none of it.
There's 10 provinces, 3 territories.
So there was. Okay, let's just hear this.
10 provinces, 3 territories.
Was I even close?
I think you were pretty close.
I think I was pretty close.
Yeah, you got 12.
Okay, let's just hear. Let's see.
Alberta, BC, Manitoba, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Northwest Territories, Nova Scotia, Nunavut, Ontario, PEI, Quebec, Saskatchewan, and our friendly friends, the Yukon.
I know I did get them all then.
Oh, I thought you had 12.
No, I got them all.
All right, well, there you go.
Yes. I did?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was counting 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Sarah.
That's fine. I can live with not knowing where New Brunswick is. Shout out to the rest of Canada.
We're paying attention in high school social studies.
Where were we there though? Because
I
you
wasn't.
were listing the provinces.
Okay,
Based
so
on
what?
food?
So what I wanted to say is, if you think of it, Canada is such a diverse place. Like province to province alone, each province is huge. Or minus like a few of them that are the islands, but like most of the provinces are huge. Like BC alone would be a massive country in Europe. Right?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
so what I think is going to be an interesting thing is, since we are so multicultural, you have all these food groups that have come from all over the world, right? And at this point now, it's like you can go to any town in, I feel like, Canada, and you're going to find a Chinese food and Indian food. Like you'll find all the like things. It's not like this rare occurrence like it was. It will be interesting to see how that diversifies over time, where you're like, yo, let's get Indian food, and you get Indian food in Surrey, who we all claim it's like, oh, that's super traditional, very close to home, and then all of a sudden you go up to like, say, like the interior or like even northern BC, and you have their Indian food, because it will change, right? Like everywhere, all culture is just based around like where they're around changes what the way you make things is.
Yeah.
And I just think it'll be interesting because you'll be within like this mega country that's Canada, and you'll be eating all these like air quotes same foods, but they'll be so different as time keeps going on. Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just thought that, I was thinking about that as like, oh, that'll be cool to see as time goes on.
Well, I think it's already kind of happening because, so my friend is going to Italy, and obviously he's never been, and he's stoked to have pizza and pasta, because it's from Italy, right? And I know this might be blasphemous to a lot of our Italian friends. And again, this isn't
Steve.
my viewpoint, but
Mad epic.
we did have a conversation about how, because of how accessible the world is now, where you can import stuff, where you have specialty stores where literally the ingredients you would use in Italy, maybe not fresh off the vineyard, but the olive oils or like the flour or the type of cheese that you use or the meat, you can bring that and import that now pretty fresh and pretty quickly. That there's an argument to be had now that the type of pasta or pizza that you could find in Italy could be replicated in any place in the world as long as the ingredients are authentic enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree totally. But that's, I think, what's kind of going to be a cool thing about, like, let's just call it the globalized world, is you have all the staples of food now. You have Indian food, Chinese food, you have Italian pizza, like blah, 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 all that stuff. But it's going to start becoming diversified by, oh, this is what this is what BC thinks Chinese food is, versus you then go to a province over and to a different country.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, so it'll be cool to see.
You know what else is cool about that? The fact that our country has the variety of people to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
It's such a melting pot of individuals that we're encouraged to bring our own cultures and our own traditions and kind of blend them all with each other. It's really cool that we have that type of diversity here. I know me coming as an immigrant from the Philippines, it's super cool to go around now in Vancouver. When I was younger, that never existed anywhere, but there are like Filipinos here with their restaurants now that have kind of blended what they've learned here and the type of cuisine that you would have in Canada. Remember, years and years ago, nobody would have been eating kimchi. And now kimchi's everywhere.
Yeah, dude,
it's so cool.
If you would, like, kimchi wouldn't even, everyone would be like, what the fuck is kimchi? Like, they'd be like mad if you said that.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Yeah, no, that's something that I think as I've gotten older, I think also as you get older, you kind of become aware of like things more like people, you're like, oh, like people from different cultures and stuff but like we grew up in a weird place in Vancouver, North Van specifically, where like you kind of just like, it's weird how we're all around so many different races and cultures that it's just normal. But that's not how the whole world works.
Oh yeah.
And so it's so weird because, like, to me, like, one that I can never get over is gay and lesbian. If someone's like, because to me it just makes no sense why you across the street would be upset that a dude and a dude or a chick and a chick are together. Like, it just doesn't. I'm just like,
it's just normal.
Yeah, it's just normal. But it like, you and me are walking down the street, and we see a gay or a lesbian couple across the street, and for me to be like, are you kidding me? How dare they? I'm like, how could that possibly affect you?
Yeah.
But apparently that's like super crazy to think that way.
Really?
Well, yeah, because there's still so many people that are like homophobic and like all those things, but you don't realize it because of where we live. We're fortunate to live in a place where like you go, wait, what, really? And you're like, yeah, but like think of that, like, because that's what it is. It's people that just like, if you have a problem with someone's like who they want to date and sleep with, it's like you're like, why are you just staring across the street shouting at someone?
That's true.
Right? It's and that's a beauty of this place is we grew up somewhere where like we got to grow up and realize that, whereas you could have grown up in like, I don't know, I don't want to like name somewhere without it, but let's say like the Deep South Bible Belt and like somewhere super racist and all of a sudden you just believe that, and it's kind of to a degree it's not your fault. It is, but it isn't, because it's like you just grew up in that environment and that would suck.
It's true. Well, do you know who else grew up in this environment? One of my favorite players, maybe not at the time. I'm wearing his jersey right now for my beloved Lakers, which is probably the team he's most known for.
Right.
Steve Nash from Victoria, British Columbia. He grew up in this beautiful province and country that we grew up in. First Canadian MVP ever, still and only. And the first and only Canadian back-to-back MVP, which doesn't happen very often. Actually, look at who has gone back-to-back MVPs. It's a really short list, and Steve Nash is on that list, which is pretty crazy to think about.
If I'm not mistaken, is basketball doesn't just do it merit of statistics. Like if you win the first one with really good stats, they'll give you it, but to get the second, there has to be more to it than you just had the best stats. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's true. I think his was a little controversial. Don't even think. I know definitely his first MVP was very controversial. I could see why people would have given it to him. Bill Simmons, again, I'm going to digress here really quickly.
Please.
But Bill Simmons, who wrote the Book of Basketball, he went back like 50 years of, I think at the time, maybe 40 years of all the MVPs, and he actually listed who should have won the MVP.
Oh.
And I think he said that Steve Nash's actual MVP year should have been 2010, and that 05 and 06 should have been Shaq and Kobe. So, but anyway, Steve Nash won it. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Not just a Canadian basketball player of all time. It just happens to be that he was Canadian. And it's really cool that he still holds Canada down. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, Macklin Celebrini, who's also from Vancouver, went number 1 overall to San Jose Sharks. They interviewed Steve Nash, who happened to be there. And he said how had a story about how Macklin grew up destroying his basement, right? It's just cool that he still holds us down. He's still one of the most recognizable Canadian athletes in the world. And as recently as 2 years ago, he was still coaching in the NBA. So it's pretty cool to have a Canadian of that stature.
Yeah, so his brother, Marty, was like a Whitecaps legend, but pre-MLS. And he actually coached us in soccer, and so I met Steve, not literally yo, what up, Steve, how you doing, homie, but he came to a few of our soccer things and watched. He also has stakes in Tottenham FC. He's a big soccer fan.
Yeah, he is.
He dangles. I don't know about him anymore, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually wouldn't have wanted to play soccer against Steve Nash.
Really?
Straight up, because you know me, I love soccer. I consider myself a really good soccer player. Steve, he's good. He's legit good, dude. It's not just, and it's not he's an NBA player, athletic good. He's a soccer player good, and he's put on some sweet tournaments where you watch him and he can dangle. But I also thought it was hilarious because he has a lot to do with the Whitecaps and the MLS, right?
What?
Yeah, he's again, to your point of how he's a great Canadian. He had the Junior Grizzlies turned into the Steve Nash Basketball League. He bought it out.
I knew that because I played in that.
Yeah, I played in that too. Yeah, there was the Junior Grizzlies, and then the Junior Grizzlies, or the Grizzlies eventually got sold off. And so it was obviously not going to be the Junior Grizzlies anymore. And so Steve Nash sponsored the entire North Shore, or was it outside of the North Shore?
The Steve Nash Basketball League was I believe, only in the North Shore.
Yeah, because it was the Junior Grizzlies at the same time,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, so it was this, like, it was just youth basketball, but the Grizzlies ducked out and Steve Nash picked up the bill, and he had no reason to do it. Like, he wasn't from here, or sorry, he wasn't living here or anything.
No.
Yeah, and anyhow, so the Whitecaps, when they started, first game of the season, I was at their very, very first game at Empire Field.
When they first became MLS?
First became MLS.
Okay.
And I was there, and you're like waiting in line for beer, and you can see Steve Nash from like a mile away, because he's, for a short white guy, 6'4" is pretty tall.
Yeah. 6'4" is tall, which is crazy.
But he's a short white guy in NBA. 6'4". Okay.
One more fun fact about Steve Nash. What former Canuck is Steve Nash related to?
Dickinson.
What? No.
I don't know.
His sister is married to Manny Malhotra.
No way.
Yeah.
Shout out Manny Malhotra. That dude, I love Manny Malhotra.
I have his jersey, or
Yeah,
his shirt jersey.
I have a shirt jersey too. It's so sweet. He was so good at face-offs. Okay, so this is an interesting one. This is a little quick hit for you here. Quebec is the only walled city in North America. Sorry, not Quebec. Quebec City. So Quebec, the whole of Quebec.
I was gonna be like, whoa. How long? When did this happen?
It actually rivals the Great Wall of China. Sorry, Quebec City is the only walled city in North America.
What?
And it's crazy because I'll be honest with you, I want to go to Quebec City really bad. I think Montreal and Quebec City would be super cool places to check out. But I had never seen, and there was just this picture, and you can see there's like a full-on walled city, and it was between the 15th to 17th century is when it all got made, and it was just, I guess, at the time when that's kind of what you did. If the French, they came in and they like made a huge walled city to protect themselves.
Do you know why?
It was just protection. Like, it was just and I when I heard that. At first, I was shocked that it was only in North America, because you'd assume at some point someone would have made a walled city. And when I say walled city, it's like big stone walls. I think there was like those like wooden ones made quite a bit.
Okay, how tall were they?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay, I would like to see this walled city.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna find a picture of it.
I've never been to that part of the country, to be honest with you, and I feel like Eastern Canada beyond Ontario is such a mystery to me, and I want to go explore there, because I know and I've heard really good things
Like
about
this.
PE. Whoa!
Like, actually, so like picture like a outer walls of a castle city.
That's around the whole
of
city.
Quebec City. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Did they just,
Like, it was they were just protecting themselves, and my only thought towards it all, because like I'm not gonna lie and say I did the most research into it.
Yeah.
I just saw that, but my only thought is I think it must have been more of like a thing that you do as a explorer. You come and you like this is gonna be our setup, and you just start building that, as opposed to there was these epic battles.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be very wrong about that. And I will look into that more, just for people. Now that you question me on it, I should have probably.
Well, how did they also make it so? How did they make it so accessible after the fact? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know, and it makes me want to go to Quebec City way more now, because I have this weird thing where the Quebecois anger me. The French always anger me, but there's.
That is only love for Canada here.
No, I know, but it's not like it's super irrational. It's not like I'm like, oh, French people always do this, but if a French person does this, I'm like, yeah, classic. Like, Elliot's full French, not French Canadian, and I
really?
always slag on him for that. Fuck you, Elliot. Sorry. Okay, let's get back to the positive part of it.
Well, do you know what else Quebec did really well, or what else Quebec contributed to this great country of Canada? It's a little known dish called the poutine.
Ooh, tell me more. I've never heard of
For
this.
anyone that's American, I mean, I don't really know if anyone's actually be American listening to this. Oh, except for Tap.
Tap-
Tap's American. Tap's
Tab
American.
has no clue.
Yeah. It's a dish made of French fries, cheese curds, and topped with brown gravy. It was created in the 1950s in, I'm going to butcher this, Centre du Quebec region.
Oh, that's actually, yeah, that's a great region of Quebec.
And its origins are unknown. But apparently for a long time, it was kind of looked down as like lowbrow food. And chefs would feed their staff with it, but would never put it on the menu. And people actually mocked the region of Quebec that ate poutine because of how, like, it was considered like a backwoods or unsophisticated type of food to eat.
I mean, I would argue they were right. 100%.
I will die on this hill.
So you have the king and queen come over for dinner, like someone you really respect, and you're like, we just threw some cheese on French fries and gravy.
It is delicious.
I'm not going to
And
deny
that is
that.
an objective, correct statement.
Okay, well,
It's
so
delicious.
with poutine, a very important part of it, I believe, the most important part of it is the cheese curds.
The cheese curds.
It
has to be so good.
You can throw gravy on cheeses of so many kinds, and I'm not even going to say it's bad. It's not a thing of like, oh, you put it on cheddar cheese, it's bad. It's just poutine or putin. I think that poutine.
Do you think? Okay. When you eat poutine, do you like it, like just the classic poutine, or do you like stuff? You know, there's all these poutines now, like there's stuff on it and like different things on it.
When I picture my favorite poutine, it's it's frites.
Okay.
Just off of Granville, and it's like the cone shaped one, right?
Yeah.
First
I've
off,
been there,
and then they have really good cheese curds, gravy, and then I want to say they put chive on it. I don't mind a little chive.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part, I just like it like straight like that, with some good crispy fries. But I don't mind dipping sauces. Like that's what Frites does good. Is it's classic poutine, and the whole like poutine. The whole point of it is like that you can have the different sauces. To dip. So that's where I go when I think poutine. How about yourself?
I'm a classic poutine. I will eat, like, if someone has a menu where someone goes, oh, you got to try like the chicken poutine or like the Montreal smoke poutine. But if I was just gonna go and crave poutine, all I want is just a bowl of fries, cheese curds, and some nice gravy. The fact that this dish hasn't caught on in America just blows my mind. They have gravy and they have fries in America. How have they not thought of like combining both of those things and then adding cheese?
Well, and then absolutely, and then the whole thing about, like we've been saying, how the world's all connected. It's not hard to cheese curd, like squeaky cheese. There was a point, I think it was an East Coast French thing, like way back in the day, and I think that makes sense where it like truly came from. But at this point, you can get squeaky cheese so easy everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
poutine is so good. Oh, it's delicious.
Raglan's does a good poutine.
It's dropped off in quality though. Like,
I haven't been in a long time.
their
To be
their
fair.
ancho chicken poutine was like,
Raglan's.
shout out Raglan's.
The old Raglan's. The new Raglan's actually is just, I don't know what to say anymore. Okay, I'm gonna throw out one good one here. This might, yeah. Okay, I'll throw this out. Alex Graham Bell. He came from Scotland, and he invented something. It sounds like you know what it is.
Oh yeah,
What is it?
I'm gonna give you a little guess. Ring ring. Ring ring.
If you're referring to a telephone, then you're ring right. Yeah, you heard it here first. Alex Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, straight from Canada into our hearts.
Or into our ears.
Oh,
Yeah.
1876, year of the telephone in the Chinese calendar.
Wait, did you say the Chinese? He made the Chinese calendar?
No, it's the year of the telephone
Oh,
was
okay.
1876
Okay.
on the Chinese calendar.
Okay.
So, okay, my only question, and I should have looked this up but didn't. Alex Graham Bell. He wouldn't happen to be also something to do with Bell, the phone company, would he? Or maybe they named themselves after.
Okay, let's both guess. I'll look for it, and let's guess.
I think it's possible that Bell was named after him, but I don't think he like literally is connected because it was his family or something.
Okay.
That would be crazy if it was.
So, you are incorrect. Alexander Graham Bell was known for the invention of the telephone and the co-founder of Bell Telephone Company, Bell Canada, and also American Telephone and Telegraph Company, better known as AT&T in America. So this guy came in from Scotland and just did his thing.
So he's better known for Bell is stupid small Canada telecoms. AT&T is America's telecoms.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Co-founded AT&T.
Okay, I just want to say, the only thing in my life that my parents gave me provide for me well, they're good parents, except for one thing. They aren't oil sheiks or telephone moguls, and I'll hold them to that to this day. They should have done that. Thanks, Dad and Mom.
To be an oil sheik, wouldn't they have to have lived in the Middle East?
That's not my problem. I just wanted to be rich. Okay, that's not on me. I could have worked hard, but I was not going that route.
Well, speaking of rich, this man wasn't that rich, but what he was rich of was invention. This individual, and let's see if you can guess this one, was responsible for assisting in not the cure, but the management of a pretty rampant disease now. Definitely back then, because it would actually result in death, but still big now. This type of medicine was used to treat diabetes. Do you know what that medicine is?
Absolutely.
What is it?
Insulin.
Insulin? And who created insulin?
Robert Insulin.
Close. His name was Frederick Banting.
Damn. Why wouldn't you name insulin? Like, if you're Robert Banton, or what's his name?
Frederick Banting.
If you're Frederick Banton, why wouldn't you call it Banton, not insulin?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think his first thought was, hey, I got to cure these people that are really sick.
Yeah, and that's why he's poor. Is he poor?
So he won the Nobel Prize in 1921.
Okay.
And they sold the patent of insulin for guess how much money?
$50.
I'll give you two more guesses.
$100,000.
I get one more guess.
$1 million.
He sold it for $1.
I was right. He's poor. What? See, wow, what a hero.
That is the Canadian dream.
This is why everyone thinks Canada's great. Like, everyone's like, oh, Canadians are so nice because they make insulin and sell the patent for $1. Good job, Robert, or Frederick. It's Robert now.
You know what, though? I'm sure what he thought of first was, how can I get this out to the most people as possible without it costing a lot of money?
The thing that's crazy is that's how the world should run. Like, that, genuinely, as much as I sarcastically said he was poor, which he probably is, but like, good for him, because that's actually the issue with the world we live in today. Is like, look at the drug corporations and all that stuff. That stuff should just be legal, like, or given. Like, it should. There's no reason that we shouldn't be giving pills and medications to people.
Well, you know that when you win the Nobel Prize, you get money.
I know, but the amount of money you get, I want to say, is $1 million, and or even now by today's standards, let's say they give you like $10 or $15 million. Insulin, to be the person that created insulin, you're getting robbed of.
How old are you?
Me? No one knows.
Well, Frederick Banting created insulin at the age of 32, or had won the Nobel Prize for creating insulin by the age of 32.
I'm 2 years too late. Okay, let's end this podcast early. I gotta go home. You might never hear from me again. Okay. That's actually a really cool one. I knew about the insulin thing, but it's really cool just to hear that, because that's actually spectacular. Specifically referring to him selling it for that. Like, as cool as it is, he figured out about insulin. The fact that you actually did something for the betterment of man, because it's, Chappelle how he walked away from 50 million.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they wouldn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was basically based around like creative rights if they told him to do stuff and not do stuff.
No. He was filming a skit for his new season after he had signed the $50 million deal. And it had to involve, like, the skit itself involved blackface.
Okay.
And when he was doing the skit, there was a guy in the crew that was laughing during the skit. And he said it was the first time that he had done Chappelle Show where he felt that the people were laughing at him and not with him. And then it made him sit down and go, am I actually doing the right thing for me and for, like, my culture? Yeah.
No way.
That's why he gave up the $50 million, went off to Africa for do you remember he disappeared for a
No,
while?
I know.
Was it
I
his
just
deal?
didn't realize. Okay, regardless, what he said with it, and it's true, is everyone talks smack, you and I included. We all are righteous until you actually are given that. And it's like, if you had a cure for cancer, you would give it away for free.
Yeah.
But you don't have a cure for cancer, would you? And you can't. You literally can't say until you're there. You can't, because
Yeah.
I'd be like, of course I would. Like you get enough honors just from, but you can't say, right?
Before we move on to the next topic, it's funny that you said that. I actually read a quote this morning about how someone had said, again, I'm going to go back. I don't know who to credit this quote to, but they said, cancer will never be cured. It makes the pharmacological the pharmacies
Yeah.
too much money.
Yeah, pharmaceutical companies.
And the last thing, to the dollar patent, the reason why he sold it for $1, he said, insulin does not belong to me, it belongs to the world.
That's beautiful. That's actually beautiful.
So that's another very Canadian
Can
thing
we-
of him to say.
Very Canadian. Can we put some love on his name again?
Frederick Banting.
Thank you, Frederick Banton, for insulin. If ironically, without Frederick Banton, the entire 40% of the American population would be dead. And that's actually true. Like that, it's probably more now because you don't have to be just obese to have diabetes.
No, I mean you can also have the one that one of the Jonas Brothers has. You know the
Type
like the
1.
congenital.
Well, yeah,
diabetes,
okay.
right?
I said this on Pancake Friday as well. But type 1 to type 2 diabetes. Type 1 you're born with, and it's you don't produce insulin in your pancreas. Type 2 diabetes is you've exhausted insulin production in your pancreas.
It's 'cause too much sugar.
It's too much sugar. Okay, here's a good one. This is actually, to be honest with you, when I first wrote this one down, I actually didn't really think it was that cool of a stat. I just put it in, but the more I read it over and over again, the more I think it's actually one of the biggest celebrations of why Canada is great. 56% of the population has completed some form of post-secondary education, and that classifies us as extremely educated. Like the highest form of educated is if you have that much of your population educated, and that 100% speaks to how amazing this country is.
Wow.
Like
56%.
Like think of that. So more than half the people you meet, they're gonna have done something after high school to further their education to make money. Like that's. I guess I shouldn't say to make money, but really to make money. And that is just, to me, that's beautiful. And again, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
I wonder, out of that 56%, what the highest percentage degree earned is. So
Meaning, like, what kind of degree?
yeah. So out of that 56%, which degree is the most popular?
If I had to guess, it would be general arts degree or a comms degree. But that's just a random guess. I don't know. I doubt it's mostly doctors and engineers.
Well, I mean, considering that it's like the hardest degree, one of the hardest degrees to get into.
One thing I think is really interesting about just that, and this just popped into my head right now, is how hard it is to become that stuff. Like, for example, physio, I think, unless something's changed, I believe they take between 90 to 120 students across Canada to become physios a semester.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
I don't think that's a lot at all.
Oh, across Canada?
Across Canada.
That doesn't seem right.
I could be wrong, but it's a very, very small pool, and a lot of it has to do with there's only 3 universities that can give you the degree, and that's
Really?
and that's why.
Wait,
so-
that doesn't sound right either.
no, and then this is why though. The thing is UBC. There's one back east, and I can't remember where the other.
No,
is.
McMaster, Ontario, Toronto. There's 3 already right there. UBC. I'm pretty sure University of Alberta does because
Okay, so irregardless, a lot of people leave the country.
that I know.
Right?
That I
Because
know.
and the reason being is because there's such a small pool to get into to get it. And you can attest to that. That is true, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
that's true.
so like people that are getting turned away are like 98 students.
Ah.
It's not like people that are like, oh, yo, this bum was a 60 and they didn't get into physio. You're like, yo, this person's like well accomplished. Because a lot of RMTs come from, they were trying to get in physio school and couldn't.
Really?
And then there's me, who, this is when I was in school. I was 21, had no background in biology at all. And I show up there, and then some dude's like, I've been trying to get into physio school for 3 years, and he knew like literally all the anatomy, every single thing of the body. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, I couldn't get in. It was too hard. And it is true. It's like,
Yeah.
if you meet a physio, irregardless of if your physio fixes you or not, they are like extremely intelligent people.
I'm pretty sure you only get 3 chances too.
So yeah, see, yet again, like adding to why it's so hard to
Yeah.
get into.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm gonna pivot a little bit here back to food.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite type of pizza, Derek?
Oh gosh, this is a very hard, nuanced question that we could go deep into, but I'm just gonna say off the top of my head, the Triple Crown from Pizza Hut is, but not Pizza Hut does a great one, but the Triple Crown, so it's mushrooms, pepperoni, and green peppers.
That's a good pizza. I'm sure a lot of people love that pizza. But do you know a type of pizza that's very divisive across not just Canada, but also America?
I think so.
Which one?
Is it ham and pineapple?
The Hawaiian pizza. A lot of people either hate pineapple on pizza or love pineapple on pizza. I'm pretty sure Gabe hates pineapple on pizza because he hates sweet.
Same with Neve, but Neve,
salty,
I think
right?
Neve likes pineapple pizza, but yeah, Neve, yeah.
But did you know that a Canadian by the name of Sam Panopoulos, a Greek-born Canadian, created the first Hawaiian pizza in Ontario, Canada in 1962?
I knew it was Canadian, but I didn't know that much detail about it.
I wonder if he made Panago pizza.
That would be sweet. That would be super sweet.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Do you like, okay, that's actually our poll question for today is going to be, do you like pineapple pizza?
I love pineapple
I love
pizza.
pineapple
I
pizza.
love it.
The only thing I will say, okay, first off, the best one I've ever been introduced to is Ristorante pineapple pizza, the frozen one.
With the Hawaiian sauce?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
so
one,
good.
Dax,
so good.
introduced me to that one, and it was so good. It actually made my joints flare up. That's a different story, though. I'm going to tell that on a different day. But do you like pineapple pizza or Hawaiian pizza? I am in on it, but I will say this. It's like if you're watching a hockey game and you get 2 pizzas, I'm down to get a Hawaiian so that you have a slice or 2. I would not order a full Hawaiian for me to eat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of variations of like pineapple on pizza. One of the ones that Nick and I used to get all the time was Domino's.
Okay.
It would be a thin crust pizza with Alfredo sauce, chicken, mushroom, and pineapple.
That sounds great. I just never would have thought of the pineapple.
It's good. Why is it called the Hawaiian pizza?
Is the guy from the not the Peloponnesians, Polynesian? Is he Polynesian? No.
He's Greek.
So why is it called Hawaiian?
When he first made the pizza, the brand of the canned pineapples he was using was Hawaiian. And so he was like, yeah, this is the Hawaiian pizza.
Wow. I wonder if people in Hawaii are like aware if that's how it happened, or if they're like, "Yeah, man,
We did it!
we
did it!
Find out. We will find out in December. I'm gonna pose that question to someone. Okay, that was sweet. Cool. That was a really cool question. Okay, here's a super fun one. Gosh dang it. So BC has 600 million hectares, or 149 million acres of forest. To give you an idea of how much forest that is, it's the same size as France and Germany combined.
Whoa.
So what I was talking about earlier, I feel like I kind of misexplained it a bit because I was talking more about like the diversity of ethnicity of food. But Canada is so big that if it was put on top of Europe, Germany and France, two countries, would just be trees. Just trees. And so that's what I mean of like how crazy big this country is. You could break Canada up and make it Europe. Like with the diversity of everything. Like just imagine, this is what I can't get over. Every time we go and visit Zach in Alberta, in Calgary, shout out to Zach. Zach, we love you, and I can't wait to come back and barbecue again.
I'm pretty sure he's here next weekend.
Yeah, he's here. Is it next weekend?
Yeah, July 5th.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, well, Zach, yeah, you're right. I thought it was 2 weeks, but anyhow, you go to Alberta, and you so clearly are like, yeah, this isn't like BC at all. At all. Like, is Alberta anything like BC?
No, it's flatter. There's nowhere near as many mountains except for
But think of the
west.
people.
Oh, yeah. Completely
Sorry,
different.
that's what I'm referring to, is the people.
Yeah, completely different.
And then, I'd imagine Manitoba, if you go there, radically different from Albertans versus BC people.
I've never spent...
You could assume.
Okay.
And you just keep going over and over how different each province is. And it's just really interesting how diverse, like you could make all of us, we could become 13 countries. And then within our own 13 countries, you'd still have this wicked diversity of north to south to east of each province, right?
Yeah.
So it's just one of these things that goes back to how big Canada is. If Canada was Europe, Germany and France would just be trees.
Which is pretty much, like you said, you could take our country and be pretty much Europe, right? So
yeah, and that's what's cool. So I always laugh when people like kind of discuss our country. It's like, whatever you think of Europe, that's just us, but it's all one thing. It's all one thing, as opposed to saying, it's like saying the UAE, or no, not the United Arab Emirates, the EU, the European Union. Yeah, that's what it is. The European Union. It's like saying
Same thing.
That is Canada.
I was looking this up as you were talking about that. So Canada is actually the second largest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But if you removed all of our lakes, we would still be the fourth largest country in the world.
I did know that. It's impressive, isn't it?
That's super impressive.
And do you know how much of our landmass is made up by lakes?
9%.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I saw that as well. That's a cool one. I'll take that off the list.
That's a cool
super cool. It's also one thing. I'm trying to. This is supposed to be positive podcast, but if you go into the future of where water becomes a resource way more, we have 9% of our massive country is water.
Okay, so what we gotta start. So you're saying is we should just start stockpiling water bottles in our fridge?
In our fridge or in your bathtub? Or put in your pocket?
Do you just bathe in it?
Well, no, you
put it in your pocket.
Well, you obviously wouldn't bathe it. You just forego showering so that 60 years from now you could sell the water.
Wow.
Okay.
Look at all this, Dax. From here backwards is all just stuff that was recorded.
Damn it. This is all just...
All right. We haven't touched this yet in any of our topics, but celebrities are a pretty big thing worldwide. And Canada is not short of a multitude of awesome celebrities that we all like. One of my favorite of all time is a man known as Keanu Reeves.
Oh.
So he is a Canadian from Toronto, and up until the internet finally blew up, people just thought he was this kind of been in some good movies, but not really good of an actor. Turns out he is like one of the nicest guys in the whole world. Some fun facts about Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves was born in Lebanon, moved to Sydney and New York City, and then settled in Toronto. That's why they claim him.
So wait, he's not actually Canadian?
He is. He's a Canadian citizen,
But is he born here?
born in Lebanon. And then they moved to Australia, and they moved to New York, and then eventually Toronto, where he grew up.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So to this day, despite living the majority of his life now in America, he still maintains his Canadian citizenship, not dual.
Cool.
Growing up, he was a massive hockey player. He actually had the opportunity to play for the Windsor Spitfires, but he turned it down because he really wanted to be an actor.
Would you rather be Keanu Reeves or have been a decent player on the Spitfire?
Keanu Reeves.
Hmm.
He's in The Matrix, man.
Yeah, but you could have been a Spitfire legend.
When he was a kid, Alice Cooper used to hang out at his house.
Why? Was he that cool?
Uh,
I can't. I go on. Sorry, go
His
on.
mom was a costume designer, so she did costumes for a bunch of people. His agent asked him to rename himself Chuck Spadina when he first moved to LA, so we could because he said that Keanu Reeves didn't sound celebrity enough.
Okay, so first off, before you go on, Keanu Reeves, I can understand when he's a nobody why you might say that, but what did you say his name was?
Chuck Spadina.
You cannot possibly think that's a celebrity name. Like, that's the worst guidance ever.
I'm Chuck. Chuck Spadina.
Chuck Spadina. Here's me, Chuck. Sorry, go on.
A couple more fun facts about him. He's always willingly deferred salary to get other good actors in all of his movies. He has been known to give bonuses and money to cast and crew. Non-publicity wise, there's multiple stories of him paying for people's wives' treatments that he found out someone was sick. He's known to give bonuses to all the crew members that are working on any of his films. He is also known to hang out with homeless people from time to time, just because that's Keanu Reeves.
I'm not gonna lie, that one, I know all this stuff about Keanu. It's the one thing I will say, I think that one's a little weird. like I don't know. Okay, are you continue? Because I have actually a controversial opinion about that Keanu Reeves, so I want you to finish before I go on.
Okay, one last thing about Keanu Reeves. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Matrix.
Yeah, I love The Matrix, and I love how John Wick is basically, they were like, because when you watch the first Matrix especially, that scene where he gets the guns and then he goes into is it a bank or whatever it is?
Hotel?
The hotel, and it's like, the super classic scene of him just blowing shit up.
Yeah.
You always said, man, I wish that was a bigger scene. Like, you wish that was the whole movie. And then John Wick came out and you're like, thank you. Okay, he obviously
Just
was.
not John Wick
and
4.
that is, yeah, John Wick 4 was too much. But I still love it, to be honest with you. It was a lot. And I will say I love Keanu Reeves. That proves how much of a G he is, the fact that John Wick came out, because I feel like he had something to do with John Wick coming out. It wasn't.
I think so.
Yeah, like, it wasn't just I'm pretty sure it wasn't just strictly like someone's like, we have a new idea for a movie. I think he was like, what if we made The Matrix into a thing? But this is what I wanted to say, my opinion on Keanu Reeves. So like the entire world, I fell in love, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, I stopped liking him
Oh, how come?
as much. I still love him.
Okay,
But
okay.
you know how he hangs out with homeless people and he rides the subway,
Yeah.
and he had a really hard upbringing, and like the list goes on of everything you just listed there. At a certain point, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, seriously? Like, give it a rest. Like, you'd be like this. You'll never believe this. Some guy gave all his money, half his brain, and his right arm to save one baby cat that was drowning. And then you're like, let me guess, it was Keanu Reeves. And they're like, how'd you know? He's
Wait.
such a good guy.
Wait, yeah, let me get this straight. You hate him because he's a good guy.
I just feel like it's just one of these things where you're like, come on, like, like you're such a good guy always that it's kind of exhausting, because if I try to be a good guy, I'm like, yo, I said hi to the person at McDonald's today, and then Keanu Reeves is like, I donate my entire salary to baby orphan cats with one eye. And I'm like, what? Like come on. And he's a great dude. It's exhausting to hear someone that good sometimes, okay? It is.
He set the bar, and it's Keanu Reeves.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised now Keanu Reeves somehow hears this podcast with all 7 of the other listeners, and he's like, I'm going to go on there, make them huge, and donate money. And, like, somehow, like, he did, like, that's what he'd do. And then the whole time, I'd be like, God damn it, Keanu Reeves.
I would love that.
I'd be pissed. I'd be like, this is how we make it.
I don't need you, Keanu Reeves.
We don't need you. And then you and him would go off in the distance, and you're like, I'm rich and famous. And I'd be like, God damn it. Damn you, Keanu Reeves. Of course you did this. Okay, that was, in all honesty, I love Jim. I love Keanu Reeves too. No disrespect.
Canadian Keanu Reeves.
Canadian Keanu Reeves. Okay. Do you know who the first European to land in Canada was?
It's not William Shakespeare. I'm going to go Leif Erikson.
Yes. You would have assumed he was a colonizing European, but actually he was a colonizing Icelandic European.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He got here and he hated it.
Yeah, he landed in Newfoundland, 1,000 years ago, and he was a Viking. I thought that was interesting because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about just like the heritage of our country, and to hear that Vikings were the first here 1,000 years ago, I think will shock a lot of people. Like, genuinely, I think they'll be like, what? No. And so I encourage everyone to go read deep into the annals of Canadian history, like, or the continent, I'd say, more than Canadian history, because there's so much outside of what you're gonna hear about Canada. And I don't even want to say this on the level of like Indigenous Europeans colonizing. That was kind of in jest as I said that all. Just like what we hear about our Canadian history is very politically focused, and it doesn't mean that what they're talking about isn't real. It's just it drives a very like one directional narrative of stuff. And if you look at North America's history, it's so broad and interesting. And that's all I really am actually trying to say with that is I just strongly encourage you to go look at North American history. It's super cool. And all the people listening to this, since they know us, probably all have this very, I don't want to say one-dimensional view, but a very like one-sided view. And it's just worth your time to look up Canada on your own accord.
I'm pretty sure like anthropologists have rebuilt the settlement that Leif Erikson landed.
No way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a big draw. You can visit that now.
I would love to do. One of my dreams is you fly to the East Coast, get a camper, and drive to BC.
Oh, BC. Oh, go to the East Coast. Sorry.
You just get in a camper.
Yeah, see? They recreated it.
No, wow.
They found the pieces.
What's it called?
It's called Lance. Actually, let's see if you can say it.
Okay, Ariel L'Anse. So L dash, what's that thing called? Apostrophe ANSE AUX Meadows. So Lance aux Meadows.
Lance aux Meadows.
You know who we should have on here? We should have a French person on here.
But the whole time,
Quebecois
he can
French.
only speak French, and we have to converse with him and try our best to understand what they're saying and respond back.
I like that. I know some French people too that we can do. French Canadian. I don't want those real French. Sick and tired of you.
Is that another Elliot dig?
Sure. I genuinely don't like French. But again, when I say I don't like them, it's just dumb. most of my hate towards other places all is just based around soccer teams.
It's-
Like it's all like it's like, what do you hate about the French? I'll be like, oh, they dive and they have Kylian Mbappe and he just scorches everyone. And it's like, so wait, why do you hate them so much? Because of that. That's exactly why. Okay, here's a more interest. This one's a great one. The oldest Miss Universe Canada competitor competed this year. Have you heard about this?
no. Wait, Miss Universe?
Miss Universe Canada.
Wow.
So if you win Miss Universe Canada, you go on to Miss Universe.
Okay.
Okay. She was 58 years old.
Whoa, did she win?
Do you think the 58-year-old won Miss?
I think that anybody has a chance to win Miss Universe Canada, regardless of their age, gender, or their size.
That actually.
Because we live in a country that allows you to do that.
That's actually a very good answer that follows along the trends of this story very well.
Okay.
So thank you for saying that. Okay, sorry, we had some audio difficulties there. So what I was just gonna say is, in the theme of what's with all that. So this is the first time in 28 years you can be over the age of 28. You can be married.
Any gender.
Any gender, which is which is really really awesome. And the main thing that and then there was a woman that won it. Her name was Marissa Rodriguez, or she competed, sorry, and she was an Argentinian, and she's 60 years old. And both women said the message is either overtly or subliminally, if we are no longer relevant, that we are longer relevant over the age of 50, you are supposed to get in a box and stay there. And they're basically just getting along to the point of age is just a number, and it's like the way society's run is it makes it people think that once you're that age you're done, and they want to break that mold, which I think is awesome. And I think we're going to wrap up on that. Is that cool?
Yeah, well, I think what we really want you to take away from this podcast is maybe you learned some cool facts. Maybe you didn't learn some cool facts, but you thought, hey, these guys sound like morons. It's fun to listen to them.
I like that.
But we also want to just say how proud we are to live in this country, the land of the free.
Amen to that.
But that we're celebrating 157 years of this country being its own thing in this big world.
Amen to that. Oh, Canada, we love you, and we hope you have a good Canada Day, everybody.
Okay, bye everybody.
Goodbye.